All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our first Topic Tuesday of the Fall 23 season. We are happy to be starting this new school year with you. Um, and so we wanted to give everybody a little bit of time to join us today. Um, Hold on, the screen is not. So we just wanted to go over and let you know that during the presentation, you can feel free to use the chat box to communicate directly with the panelists, or also the Q&A. So keep that in mind that you can do that during that time, but this is in webinar mode. So as we give everybody a little bit of time to jump into the webinar, we wanted to do a little poll and test your knowledge around the college and career readiness class. So I'm going to launch that poll. So the question, let me get to the poll. The question is, the college and career readiness course first became a graduation requirement for the class of what year? 2020 what? All right, we're seeing some responses come in. All right, so your choices here were the class of 2020, class of 21, and the class of 22. So the correct answer, and about two or three of you got it right, but the correct answer is the class of 2020. So the course was in existence prior to that, correct, Teresa and Kirsten? And it was in kind of a test mode for 2 years, and then it became a graduation requirement um, for the class of 2022. So wanted to kind of test your knowledge there before we move into our actual agenda. So again, welcome to the webinar, and I am Shannon Grimsley, Assistant Director of External Training and Partnerships for the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and the Get to College program. We are recording today's session and will send a link to anyone who is registered. For those watching today's recording, the date is August the 22nd, 2023, and the material in this webinar is current through the 23-24 school year. In today's session, What's New with College and Career Readiness, you will learn about the curriculum changes and resources for the College and Career Readiness course. And you will hear from our teachers about how they are incorporating the new unit in their lesson plans and teaching. I will now share a little background on Get to College and a few logistics about the webinar before we get started. Get to College is a nonprofit program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers in Mississippi, one in Jackson, Ocean Springs, and South Haven, and we help parents, students, and high school counselors with all aspects of the college planning and financial aid process. And all of our services are free. In our centers, we offer personalized college counseling appointments where we can tell students when to apply for admission and scholarships, help fill out their FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, or advise on essay writing and interviewing. As I mentioned earlier, during the webinar, we cannot see or hear you, but you can ask us questions through the chat or the Q&A at any time. My colleague, Kirsten Dufour, will be monitoring and replying to the Q&A today, and we will have a time for live Q&A with presenters at the end. But again, feel free to drop your questions in at any time. I would now like to introduce our guest speakers for the day. Our first speaker is Teresa Connor. Teresa holds both a bachelor's degree in finance and a master's degree in business administration from Mississippi State University. She is a national board certified teacher with 16 plus years of classroom instruction and experience teaching high school students, as well as statewide leadership experience teaching college and career readiness and personal finance content to Mississippi educators. Teresa's area of expertise include college and career readiness, personal finance, Canvas course building, and teacher mentoring. She works with Get to College, a division of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation, the Mississippi Council on Economic Education, and the Mississippi Department of Education to develop and implement college and career readiness curriculum through the state of Mississippi. Our next presenter is Familio Tilden. Ms. Tilden is a lifelong resident of Jackson, Mississippi, and is entering year 3 of teaching college and career readiness with Jackson Public Schools. She was formerly the graduation coach. Ms. Tilden is a graduate of the University of Phoenix and holds Associate of Arts and Bachelor of Science in Business. She is 12 credit hours into the Master of Arts teaching program at William Carey University and has maintained a 4.0 GPA. Go, Ms. Tilden. She started her career as an educator at North Jackson Elementary from 2015 to 20 and currently teaches at Callaway High School, her alma mater. Ms. Tilden is determined to prepare her students for life after high school. She works fervently to ensure that they are aware of their options, knowledgeable about various resources, connected with the right people, exposed to every experience, and in the position to achieve their goals. Ms. Tilden believes that if she helps her students reach their full potential, then her job is done. Although she has received many awards during her short time as an educator and served on the teacher advisory board for Get to College, her greatest sense of accomplishment comes from seeing her students move on to college, military, trade schools, and the workforce. Our third presenter is Andrew Huey. Andrew, I'm going to ad-lib for you here, Mr. Huey. If there's something you want to add in, you can do so. Mr. Huey teaches at Long Beach High School, correct?
Yes.
College and career readiness. And where are your degrees from, Mr. Huey?
My degree's from the University of Southern Mississippi.
Great.
I have a degree in mathematics licensure.
Awesome. So we have these two fantastic teachers with us. Both of them serve with us on a advisory board for a grant. Well, it looks like we just lost Mr. Huey. Maybe he'll be back in a minute. So we're very glad to have Teresa Connor with us and Ms. Tilden and Mr. Huey. So Teresa, I am now going to turn the presentation over to you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Good to, I can't see you, but I'm glad you're here. And I hope we get to communicate back and forth through the chat as we go throughout. So as we get started here, on the screen, you see the Mississippi State Board of Education's strategic plan goals. And this is the basis for what the Mississippi Department of Education does in everything that they do. Number 1, you see that all students are proficient in showing growth in all assessed areas. Number 2, which is really what we're doing here, is that every student graduates from high school and is ready for college and career. And that's kind of how the CCR course was born. We've worked on it for 7 years, I believe it is, piloting it, writing it, getting all the stuff ready to go for it. But number 2 is really centered around for the Mississippi Department of Education, what we're doing here. You see 3, 4, 5, and 6 as well. It all goes into college and career readiness, but specifically here, we're focused on number 2 here for the Department of Education. And then if you'll, let's see. Can you click me forward there, Ms. Shannon, please? Okay, so the CCR units overview. So we like to say that in the college and career readiness world, this class is really like throwing the kitchen sink. It's all the things, right, to get these students out into the world. So the first unit is an introduction to college and career readiness, which is exactly what it sounds like. Introducing students to what it is. The biggest thing that I like to do in that unit is get a very clear definition of college. In our classrooms. And it's important to do that right when you enter the college and career readiness classroom. So when we talk about college in this realm, we're talking about college as being any post-secondary education that leads to a living wage. And so we're talking about career and technical certificates to associate's degrees to bachelor's degrees. And then also in that unit, we do a good bit of goal setting. Just kind of what do we see our future looking like? What are our goals? How do we define college? That kind of stuff. The second unit is a student portfolio and exhibit. So it's where students take the stuff that they do in college and career readiness as well as really showcasing their high school careers and put that together in a student portfolio and exhibit. I do that digitally, where they do a digital portfolio. I have done it in the past with binders and sheet protectors and kind of like a scrapbook and printed out materials, and both of them work beautifully. But it's really showcasing what the students have done throughout college and career readiness and throughout high school. Units 3 and 4 are college selection and then applying for financial aid. So that is get to college's expertise, along with Unit 9 that I'll talk about in just a second. But it's what it sounds like. What are we going to pick? Where are we going to pick to go to college? And then how do we get that paid for? And I know this is a Get to College webinar, but I say this every time I talk about these units. I can't sing their praises enough of how helpful they are, both to teachers and to students in everything that they do. And if you're not familiar with that, I cannot tell you the wealth of knowledge and information and help that they have in those areas. And so that's their expertise, and they do a phenomenal job of it. Unit 5 is preparing for a career and internship. So again, just like it sounds, what do we want to do? Where do we want to do it? What does that job look like? Is there a way that we can experience it? How do we really know what it's about? That kind of stuff. We write professional resumes in that unit because we need resumes to get jobs too. Unit 6 is financial literacy. So that goes from everything to understanding pay stubs and compensation, to insurance, to credit and debt, to investments, behavioral finance, all that kind of stuff. Unit 7 is community service, which is a fun one. So there are obviously nonprofit community service organizations around the state of Mississippi that you can do. What I like to tell people too, though, is never underestimate the fact that your school is a phenomenal community service opportunity. There are plenty of things that you can do right there, whether that's a coat drive or shoe drive or blanket drive, or it's cleaning classrooms or helping tutor or planting flowers, painting, all kinds of stuff that you can do there. And then Unit 8 is digital literacy and citizenship. So that's a good one. So, we need students to understand their digital footprints. We need them to understand that stuff stays forever. We need them to understand what the consequences can be of that, but also we need for them to understand that they can curate these social media accounts and their online presence. I like to call it their online resume, their social media accounts. That's what I tell them. And so it's not that bad things don't happen, but we just don't advertise them. We tell the truth about them if we're asked, but we don't put that kind of stuff out there for everybody to see. We do that through Unit 8. And then Unit 9, like I said earlier, is college transition, summer melt, get to college are the experts in that with Units 3 and 4 as well. So if we go to the next slide, briefly over the next 2 slides, I'm going to talk to you about what the updates have been to the curriculum. So the first curriculum that we had in college and career readiness was the 2020 curriculum. And then the Department of Education put us on a 3-year renewal cycle. I believe that most classes are on a 5-year renewal cycle, but they put this on a 3-year renewal cycle. It was new. It needs to be updated, right? Like it's different than a typical course. And so we're on a 3-year renewal cycle and updated it for 2023, as you see. So briefly, I'm going to go through, hit the highlights of what was updated. So for those of you who are new to the curriculum in general, you'll learn a lot about it. We just went over the units overview, but for those of you who have worked with it for a while, these are briefly the things, they're the biggest things that we altered. So in Unit 1, which is the Introduction to College and Career Readiness, the most notable of the few edits, we just had a few edits in there, but the most notable were the 4th competency that was determining which college or university program of study or career pathway best meets the ISP. It was moved to Unit 3 in college selection. So it's still there. It's just altered down with Unit 3, and that makes sense for it to be there. Unit 2, which is the student portfolio and exhibit, most of the language, the edits to that was just language clarified to refine some of the descriptions of the competencies and suggested objectives, just the language through those. So the overarching idea of it's still there, but some language change. Unit 3 used to be called College Selection and Transition, but the name of Unit 3 was changed from College Selection and Transition to College Selection because Unit 9 was added to cover the college transition portion, which we'll talk about when we get down to that. So that was a big change there. with that, several of the competencies and suggested activities were added, updated, or moved to units 4 or 9. So what was there is still there, but some stuff was taken out and put in either 4 or 9, just wherever it fit the best. Unit 4, which is applying for financial aid. So the language used to describe a lot of that was updated. And then one of the competencies, the 6th one, was moved down to Unit 9. So mostly just language updates there, but one competency was moved down to the bottom. And then Unit 5 is preparing for a career and internship. We added 2 competencies there. Once we did this for several years, we decided to come back and we said, okay, we really, and get to college is the people who did this, but they really wanted to focus on exploring in-demand careers in Mississippi. Because when we started teaching it, what we found was we couldn't really find much stuff that had to do with just careers here where we want our students to stay. It was all national data, which, you know, doesn't really pertain to a lot in Mississippi. It's the numbers are very different. And so they spent a good bit of time looking at in-demand careers in Mississippi, and we have some great resources for you for that. Also, the other competency that we added here was creating a professional email address to utilize when applying for colleges and or jobs. And I know that's kind of hard sometimes in a school setting, but these school email addresses go away. And they need to know, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you are in high school, college, you're working, you need a personal professional email address, and then you need your ones associated with school. And so we added that competency there. And then if we go to the next one, Unit 6 is the financial literacy unit. The language used to describe several of the competencies was updated there, and objectives was updated there. A few things were moved around, but it was mostly language based. But what was there is basically still there. Unit 7, community service. The only significant edit we made to that was we deleted the competency requiring the writing and presenting of a proposal and final report for the selected service project. Yeah, we took that out and really just focused on the service, complete service aspect of it. Unit 8 was completely overhauled. It's, you know, technology based, social media based. And so as you can imagine, it probably needs to be updated on a regular basis, but it was completely overhauled to include updated and relevant competencies and activities. And what we did with that was we referenced Common Sense, if you've ever heard of them, Common Sense Media's digital citizenship curriculum. And so it reflects that, which they're great and have lots of great resources and know a lot about that. So those two reflect each other better now. And then Unit 9 is college transition, summer melt. It was added, Unit 9 was added. What we found happening across the state of Mississippi was that we would do CCR, we would get all the students ready to go, and we would have several students that they were ready, they had everything, they knew what they were doing, they'd applied, they had it paid for, they had all this, and then we see them in the community in the middle of September, what are you doing? You're supposed to be at wherever, college. And they're like, I didn't go. And why not? Well, they got overwhelmed because they didn't know what a dorm room looked like or what they needed to take to live in one. They didn't have a ride to orientation, stuff like that. And so that's where this unit was born from. And it includes the following 4 competencies: understanding the difference between high school and college, understanding the financial aid award process. So once we get all these letters back, what do they look like? What do they mean? Identify the tasks needed to confirm enrollment in college, university. So we go to orientation. We get our student IDs, we register for classes, we know where to go eat on campus in the cafeteria, stuff like that. And then exploring summer prep options to aid with that as well. So those were the units. And then that is a brief overview as to what is updated from the 2020 curriculum to the 2023 curriculum. So, yep. Okay, and then we also have, if you're not familiar, we have college and career readiness materials that you can use in your classroom. So I am going to, I believe, Shannon, can I share my screen real quick and just show, okay. Ignore my tabs up here. It's going to stop sharing this, but I'm going to show you real quick. We have a ready-built, ready-made college and career readiness course that's hosted on Canvas that any educator in the state of Mississippi is welcome to have access to. What it is it's a direct mirror of the college and career readiness class that I use in my classroom at Northwest Rankin High School, and that I've built over the past I don't know how many, over 5 or 6 years. So, so yeah, it's a direct mirror of that. If you look at this homepage right here, it'll tell you on the slide that Shannon was just showing, and then on this as well, it has 2 email addresses at the bottom. One is mine, one is Heather Morrison, and she is director of P20 partnerships with the institutions of higher learning. She wasn't able to be here today because she is in another meeting, but if she were here, she would tell you that she speaks higher education language to high school people, the Department of Education, and then vice versa to IHL, the Institutes of Higher Learning. So she's like a liaison between those two. So if you want access to this course, or you know anybody who does, you can email me or you can email Heather, and we can add you to it. I'm not going to take a ton of time to go through it right now. I'm going to hit a few highlights just to show you what's in it. And we may come back to it later if we have time, if anybody has any questions about it. But yeah, if you look in this paragraph, there's a click here. If you click on that document, it takes you to my day-by-day teaching plan that I use in my classroom. It's color-coded. It's got instructions in gray at the top for teachers of just like if they need to prepare something in advance, or there's some helpful tips in there as I go through and do things and learn like, oh, don't click that button, right, with that piece of software. And so I'll add that stuff in. But this is actually what I do in my classroom every single day at Northwest Rankin High School. So if you'll notice today, yesterday and today, I'm on a 4x4 block schedule here. So our classes meet every other day for an hour and a half. Today we did the Mississippi Top Jobs in-class activity, and are starting to look at these Mississippi in-demand careers and all these wonderful videos that get to college put together. So you can look at my whole entire year-by-year teaching plan if you want to. That coincides with the modules that are in the Canvas course. So this top module up here, let me scroll back up, is important information for CCR educators. So if you're looking for like, how do I export this Canvas course? How do I find, how do I sign up to get to college's workbooks? That kind of stuff, those kind of links that are only CCR educator focused, they would be in this top module right here. Everything else below that is student facing, and it's exactly what my class looks like. Specifically, we just looked at, this is what I did in class today. We did the Mississippi Top Jobs Explorer tool. And then, like I said, you'll see that these are the Mississippi in-demand careers that my students are currently working through, which coincides with what's on the document over here. That's the quick and dirty, really fast version of what that is. But just know that if you or another teacher across the state of Mississippi is interested in this or needs it, they can just email down here, me or Heather, and we'll give you access to this. A couple of questions that I get is, can I use this in my Canvas course at my school? Absolutely. There are instructions in this top module right here. Sorry for the fast scroll. But there are instructions that say, click here to access the export of Teresa Connor's 2023 CCR Canvas course. So if you click that, you can get an export of the course and import it into your Canvas course that your school district offers to your students. If your school district does not offer Canvas to your students, the export does import into Schoology if your school uses that. I don't know that it does it seamlessly, but it does do it, and you can work on that. If your school district uses Google Classroom, it's not going to import into Google Classroom, but you can always literally copy and paste the stuff over and make it compatible that way. So you don't have to use any of this. You can alter it, change it, use it, not, doesn't matter, but it's just there as a resource for you to be able to use. So yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing here. And then Shannon, if you want to put yours back up.
I am actually going to hop in here because there's a brand new resource that we have that no one has seen in this space before. So to add on to what Teresa shared with us about the Top Jobs Explorer, we have a new iteration of it that is going to be released at the end of this month. And so this is the Top Jobs Explorer. If you're not familiar with it, it's top 500 plus Mississippi in-demand growth careers. It's currently on our website, but this new version is coming in the next I would say, week and a half. So it takes not only the information of the top job, how much they're going to make, what are the average openings in Mississippi, what's the education level, and you can filter by them, but it takes it to the next level. Now it includes a cultivated list of every Mississippi community college or university that offers this. So it links to ONET. So it says, okay, these are the schools that offer the degree that aligns to be a registered nurse, but it gets better. It also then links directly to that program page. So your students don't have to navigate the website any longer. It takes them directly to that page. So that way they can see, oh, if I want to do a registered nurse, this is what they do based off that ONET information. And then also, this is the school that offers it, and this is the specific details of that program. And it also provides information from the college scorecard on that school. So the student has all at their fingertips the information about not only what that career pathway could lead to, but also that secondary. So we wanted to share that with you all, and we know that there's a lot of changes. We know there's a lot of transition. We know that there's some of us that are on this webinar that have been teaching this for a few years and are good to go with everything until there's changes. And so we wanted to bring some veteran college and career readiness teachers into this space and kind of listen and pick their brains on how they go about approaching their kind of annual review of information, because Lord knows we know that college information changes every single year, and just how they create a best practice for integrating these changes into their classroom and staying up to date in the space and getting that relevant information to their students. So I'm going to hand it over to our teachers to allow for them to kind of share out their expertise and approaches.
Okay, am I up first? All right, good afternoon. Well, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. We're talking about approaching teaching college and career readiness. And it is, I was just telling my class who's sitting right here and they're working, that I had to take this course in order to teach this course. So the first thing that I like to teach them is the email etiquette part of it, because that is how they're going to have to start communicating immediately. I also make them accountable in that if they do not follow my instructions for emailing me, such as no subject in the subject line, I won't read it. It's going to be the same as if it goes to somebody out in the real world and they have no idea who you are and you don't have any identifiable information in your email, then it is not going to get the same attention that you would want it to get. So I hold them accountable in that way. But when we start talking about colleges and what they offer, the best thing that I do, and I have on a board right here to my left, are dates where I have the colleges come into my classroom and they answer the questions themselves. So if they have college questions for a college, you ask the representative who comes here and see if this is the perfect fit for you. And after that, you have the opportunity to go ahead and apply at that time, and we can get all of the other information into that rep while the rep is standing here. So your application is already processed and you have all of the subsequent information and it's going. It's already working. Is there, well, let's see. And we're still talking about approaching teaching college and career readiness, right? So we're bringing colleges. I also bring military to my classroom. Sergeant Cody Barber with the Army National Guard just left yesterday, and we have dates set for next month. I bring people, I like to have lunch with different people in the community. I haven't done that in the last couple of years because we've been switching the way we do lunch, but I like to lunch and learn with my students. And I'm going to get back into that as far as bringing people from the community here, business owners, in to sit down and have lunch with them and we talk. But I'm trying to figure it out so everybody can get it, because I have the same lunch crowds on A Day, B Day. I have the same lunch crowds, so my other students wouldn't get it. But I'm trying to figure that out as far as bringing business owners or anybody in certain areas of career that they are interested in to come in and talk to them about it. I do set up mentorships. If I have a student who says, Ms. Tilden, I want to be a forensic scientist, then I call the forensic scientist I know and I link them up, and there's your mentor. If we are talking workforce, we have gotten a new career coach this year. So I've already told him, this is your lane. This is what I need you to do so I can focus on this part. But I did give him some resources that I was already working on, and we have in our arsenal for our students, especially a lot of free ones where they can get certifications free in a short amount of time. Are we getting into Unit 9, or should I kind of back up and wait? We're going on to Unit 9 because I have a wonderful way to introduce it.
Yeah, I think with that being a new piece of it, we'd really like to hear from y'all about your thoughts around how you're going to do that unit. Yeah.
Okay. So every year I explain to my students that college is not high school. You are thrust into adulthood before you know it. College is not high school. They never believe me. They never believe me. So this year I decided to reach out to my class of 2023. And I had them because I've talked to them over the summer to help them work out some kinks or help them figure out something or pick classes, get FAFSA rearranged and redone. So I said, send me a video of you telling me whatever obstacle that you encountered, what you did that made it easy for you, where you didn't have to stand in this long line at the registrar's office. What mistake did you make? So I have about 5 videos. And I have one from my class that 2022 explaining to these students, these are your peers, telling you how college is different from high school, because it really is a different world, no pun intended. And what to do as far as FAFSA is concerned, how to make sure school is paid for, how to make the transition. Please check your emails. These are the things that the students are telling them. I've had students who missed out on housing because they didn't check their email. They get out of state and they have to go get an apartment. I have students who have felt like I did my FAFSA, I got a scholarship, I don't have to do anything else. He didn't have the school on his FAFSA. So school didn't have it. So he had to go in and rearrange it. But and so he's telling them, these are the mistakes I made, don't make these mistakes. And I think that's the best way to introduce this unit to these students, because they've already made that transition and they can tell them how to make their transition smoother.
I absolutely love that, Ms. Tilda. And I think that is a great way. I mean, they're always going to listen to their peers, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that
if we have time, I can show one of them. I think I pulled it up.
Okay. Well, yeah.
If we can, here's one.
Okay.
Let's see, share the sound and share. Okay.
Hey, my name is Anaya. I'm majoring in psychology.
And my name is Demi, and I'm majoring in nursing.
And we both attend Southern University of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
And we are giving you tips on how to get into an HBCU as smooth as possible.
First, apply early. Apply early so you can get the acceptance in the winter instead of the spring.
And also sending your transcript and your ACT score, because that also affects on whether you get accepted early or late. FAFSA. Just apply early. Just listen to your teacher. Apply as early as possible. It's not going to do nothing, but it's easy to get it out the way to take off the stress for the rest of the stuff you got to do for college.
Scholarships. Apply for as many scholarships as you can. And also, don't be afraid to do ROTC, because we both have a 3-year scholarship and we are getting paid to go to college.
And also, so that means we had to pay for our first year, which is not a problem. Just apply for as many scholarships as possible, so you won't have to take out a loan. Even though you will get that in a refund, you will have to eventually pay that back. And it's scholarships everywhere, so just apply for scholarships. Housing.
Apply for housing as soon as it opens, because especially if you're going out of state, because a lot of students here as first-time freshmen had to get an apartment and pay the $700 in rent or transfer to another school
just because they didn't have nowhere to stay. Transcript. If you take dual enrollment, sending that transcript also with your high school transcript when you graduate, call Hines or whatever college you take dual enrollment with and tell them to send it from their school to your future school, and not to send it to you because your school won't accept it from you. They got to accept it from another school.
And if anything is messed up on your account or banner, like whatever your school uses, you have to go to that school. And 9 times out of 10, if you're going to a HBCU, to get everything fixed.
Because they will not answer the phone. Like, unless you call them as soon as the office open, they just won't answer the phone. So it's best if you just go to the school, even if you, especially if you're out of state, because it's very hard to get in touch with them. So just go to the school. It won't hurt.
And out-of-state waivers. If you're going out-of-state, our out-of-state fees will waive because we had a 2.5 or higher GPA. So it comes out automatically out of your account. It's no application or anything that you have to apply for.
And also, if you're doing a high demanding major, it's best if you get your ACT score to like a 20 or above, because it's easy to get in like college with a low ACT score, but it's not easy to get into your major starting your junior year with that same low ACT score. They will not accept you. This is also a side note. If you are doing a high demanding major, undivided attention major, it is best that you don't do sports. Especially your first year, you need to see what you're getting into. If you want to do it your second year, if you feel like you can maintain it, that's good. But your first year, it is not recommended. Those are the tips that we have for y'all. Thank y'all for listening.
Bye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So yeah, I have some videos like that. And they even brought up stuff that I didn't even think to include. You know, like the dual enrollment. Make sure you get that transcript too, so those credits can count. So I think that's going to be a real live room shaker when I start showing those videos.
Thank you so much. That is awesome. Great idea. We're going to turn it over to Mr. Huey for a few minutes and let him give us some of his best tips and tricks for teaching college and career readiness, and maybe how you thought about incorporating this new Unit 9 in your teaching.
Well, am I unmuted now? Okay, sorry. Everybody says I can just talk to myself and I'd be happy. So anyway, one of the biggest things that I do in my classroom is I treat it very much like a college class where they're responsible. Matter of fact, in my syllabus, I send a note to the parents that says, I'm really not going to communicate to you unless you communicate to me first. I'm going to communicate to your child because, and I tell them, because their professor is not going to talk to them and their boss is not going to talk to the parents. They're going to talk to the person. So I want the kids to know that this is the way it's going to be. And then they're given deadlines, and the deadlines are the deadlines. You make it or you don't. And so it's very much, you know, like a real college class. This Unit 9 has really, I'm still, to be brutally honest, still working on it because I teach juniors. And so I'm not a few months out from them. I'm a year out from them. And that just, you know, just kind of has me bewildered on how to do it. I love the video idea, though. I'm like going, I'm stealing that. Because I've got a lot of 23ers that I taught. Matter of fact, the valedictorian even brought me up in her speech because she was like going, we hated you for all that work, but now we get it, kind of thing. So I'm going to reach out to those that are around and go, hey, I need this from you. Can you do it for me? Like I said, that didn't even enter my mind, and I'm so stoked that I got it. I learned something out of this. I spend a lot of time. My beginning is because I'm with juniors and they most of the time don't know what it is. I really, really start on that career exploration part is my first part of the thing, where we'll do the interest surveys from ONET, and then we'll do the U Science aptitude surveys. And I really get them to dig into finding those classes, those potential careers that overlap. And once we find their 3 best choices for careers, then we start digging into in-demand jobs in that career cluster and so on, and what does it take to get there. So I try to basically do my class like it's an IEP for each kid. We're going to tailor your work toward what you want to do. And so, I mean, that's generally how I do my class. I'm really kind of open for questions on what's going on, what else you may want to know. Oh, and by the way, for those of you out there, I am a Google Classroom, so I can attest that I take Teresa's Canvas and cut it over and make it over into Google Forms and videos. daily. So if you ever need any help or want anything, just shoot me an email. I'll be glad to help.
I do want to add to that, Huey. I'm glad you brought that up. Treating our children like they're college students. I've explained that to them as well. College is not going to call your mother. College is not going to come and wake you up and get you out of bed and take you to class. College is not going to even entertain your mother. The only time they entertain parents is to get the money. And after that, they're done with the parents. You are responsible and you are accountable. So I treat them as such in my classroom too. The syllabus, I presented it to them. They have signed the acknowledgement that they've read it. They've seen it. They said, do I need my parents to sign this as well? No, I don't want to deal with parents. This is between you and I. We've signed a plagiarism contract as well, because plagiarism is something that will get you kicked out of school. So we've signed that as well, and I've explained the importance of that to them. I don't want any parent involvement unless I have to go that far. It's between you and I.
Thank y'all so much. I think we've gotten kind of, in our short time, we've gotten a perspective of what the changes are, how teachers kind of approach their classroom. And I know that everybody on this webinar is not a CCR teacher, right? Some of them are counselors. Some of them might be career coaches in the high schools. But we need to know what our students are learning in the College of Career Readiness course, and we need to know what that curriculum is. So I think whatever role you play at the school, even if you're a parent, it's important, even though we're not dealing with parents, right, Tilden? It's important for us parents to know, what they're being taught. So I think this course is invaluable, and of course has helped what we do here at Get to College tremendously, because it's happening every day in the classroom. And as Mr. Huey said, you've got different variations of it going on at different high schools. Some are teaching juniors, some are teaching seniors. So same curriculum, same coursework, but just at a different time and preparation. So any questions, Kirsten, coming in the Q&A? Anything else, Teresa, that you want to add about the curriculum or anything like that?
Hold on just a second. Can y'all hear me? You can hear me, right? Okay. There's something in there. Okay. Yeah, no, I think that when we have the conversation about people teaching it to different age groups, for those of you who don't know, in the state of Mississippi, it has to be taught. It's mostly taught to juniors or seniors. I would say that most people teach it seniors. I don't know though. It may be split. Sometimes it's only juniors, sometimes it's only seniors, and sometimes some teachers have both of them in there at the same time. So that's interesting. But the way it has to be done is you can teach a half unit of it to younger students, but a half unit of it has to be taught during the junior or the senior year. And what I would say is the biggest thing with that is that you really have to be mindful of what you're doing and when you're doing it. So at my school, I teach it to only seniors. And so we come in with an introduction to college and career readiness. And then we look at, I tell them, I've been doing this for the past several days. So I tell them, how many adults have asked you in the past week, where are you going to college? Where are you going to college? Where are you going to college? And they're like, their eyes just bug out of their head. And I'm like, I would venture to tell you that that's kind of putting the cart before the horse. How about we introduce college and career readiness? How about we then set some goals and see what you want your life to look like? How about we then determine what you're naturally good at and what you're interested in? And by the way, you can't be interested in something you've never heard of, so that's fun. And how about we then start looking at in-demand careers in Mississippi and looking at the Mississippi Top Jobs Tableau and do some assignments about that. And then we'll start narrowing down some things you don't want to do to determine what you do want to do. And then after all of that, we'll start looking at the colleges in Mississippi that have what you want. And I think it's really important for you to do it that way. With that being said, too, kind of back to where we started here, I teach it to seniors. So I have to be really mindful to immediately in the beginning of the school year, go in with the introduction to college and career readiness, the setting goals, the career exploration, looking at colleges, selecting colleges in a normal year, completing the FAFSA, right at October, all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't, then a lot of these seniors miss out on a lot of the college scholarship deadlines are December 1st, January 1st. So it's important to know to know that and to know what you're doing in the class and know that you need to do that. If you have seniors at all, you need to do those things in the fall. Whereas if you're teaching only to juniors, if you wanted to come in and do more of like the financial literacy piece and the digital citizenship and all that when you first come in, and save this other stuff for the spring, since they would be doing it the fall of their senior year, you can do that as well. So I think that the timing of it can be important to do, and that can always be swapped around. So yeah.
I would love it. And I've already campaigned. I've talked to the higher ups in Jackson Public Schools already. If this course could be split between junior and senior year, there's so much to do. For the last 2 years that I've taught this course, I've not been able to touch each and every standard each year because we have to stop and do things like the college visits, which I think they are important, with both inside of our classrooms and going to the campuses. Mm-hmm. Anything that the school maybe wants us to stop and have to do, there's always something that keeps us from completing this entire unit of study. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of the career exploration, thinking about what schools you want to go to, a lot of college exploration should be done in junior year, like Teresa said. So by the time we get to senior year, they're applying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are applying for scholarships. They're applying because a lot of times there's some scholarships that I will find and I'll be like, the deadline is gone already, mm-hmm. you know, because we were doing something else and I wasn't there yet. So now I'm trying to, you know, discipline myself to go ahead and find some scholarships for them as well. Mm-hmm. Here's a tip that I would like to give anybody who aspires to teach this course. When my students come in on day one,
the joys of being in the classroom.
When they get into my class, the first thing they do is fill out a Google form with their student contact information. And another is a plans for the future survey. I want to know what it is you have in mind, what it is you want to do, what schools you may want to go to. And that way, when I pull somebody in, and I may have to pull a small group of those who want to do criminal justice. Because like right now, I got to call somebody that graduated from Callaway who wants to talk to the students about criminal justice. I'm not going to let him talk to the entire senior class. Only those who are interested in that. So I can create a spreadsheet from those results, and I can only pull those students.
Yeah,
I would suggest doing that.
Yeah,
go ahead, Teresa.
I think too. And I really think that you have to look at your student population, because I used to say always taught seniors, and I used to go around and say, I think that it should be taught the spring of the junior year and then fall of the senior year. The more I've taught it, though, in my specific population, I'm like, oh, I kind of like it in the senior year. And I think it's just the nature of where I am in central Mississippi and like what they have access to. Like all my kids drive, and that most of them have seen college. So I can see where it can be. I just see both sides of that. And I think it probably is specific to your student population and where you are. One of the things that we've really tried to do with the in-demand careers is, because in preparing for a career and an internship, it's great for us to say, okay, let's do all these careers. But you and I both know that the best way for you to figure out whether you like something or you don't is to do it.
Yeah.
Like do it, go watch it or do it and get your hands dirty with it. Well, that's great. In Flowood, Mississippi at Northwest Rankin, where you can go drive 3 miles and go to any industry you want. And I've got a student who can watch it, right? And they can drive there because they have their car that they can go do that. Well, what do we do in different areas of the state when they ride the bus to and from school? And where would they even go if they could go somewhere? They're going to drive an hour to go watch somebody do. And so we really, did a big push with that, with this updated curriculum and the updated assignments within the course. And I think did a great job. My students are loving it. I tested last spring, but bringing these, that's what these in-demand careers are about, and the career exploration in that tableau is bringing these careers of people in Mississippi doing the jobs into the classroom. How do you do that? You bring them in because you have an industry expert like Miss Tilda does, and they come in and they talk to them about it, which is awesome. But also we've got all these videos, this tableau and all this cool stuff where it's people actually doing it in Mississippi on their job site, and they can like see that. And so I just want to highlight that for you, that we really tried within the course to like put all the stuff out there and bring that in. But it just depends on your population. And to be honest, y'all, we all know, those of us that teach, it's we don't get to pick. who we teach it to. There, somebody else somewhere else is going to decide how it works with the master schedule and all that. And it can work like either way. I think whatever way it ends up being for you, you end up making it work so well that you're like, nope, I like it like this, and that's good. That's what we should do. So, so whatever your situation, I think you can make it work and it'll be good.
I think
So-
Teresa and Ms. Tilden, y'all both transitioned into what we wanted to get at the very end. So, Mr. Huey, we're going to let you now speak and tell us, what you were going to say, but also a piece of advice to approaching teaching CCR. I think Ms. Tilden and Ms. Connor both gave us that, but I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
Well, I was just going to add how it does cater to your environment, like Teresa was saying, because, and a suggestion from our school, we talked to our principal and superintendent. We actually have a job shadow day for our CCR kids, where it's a school business day, and they all have to schedule their job shadow day that day, and they all go out, and we're able to get out and around and go follow up on them and stuff. So we're, that's what we do, and that's just a suggestion out there is another thing that could be done. Now go back to your question. I'm sorry, I lost it.
Just maybe one piece of advice if someone were be asked to teach CCR about how you approach it.
If somebody were to ask me advice on how to teach CCR, I really am passionate about, it's very important for the kids to discover and to find what they want. Cause I've got a senior, and you ask him right now, he doesn't know where he wants to go to school, and he doesn't know what he wants to do. He has a bunch of ideas. And so I'm like going, and they need to know that's kind of okay too, but it's not okay to give up there. You got to keep looking. And so that's the fine line for me is it's a time of discovery, and they need to understand that what they decide in my class as a junior, it's picture day.
I love this. We're getting real-time school distractions. Love
That's
it.
So they need to know that it's not etched in stone too. My kids are like, well, what if I don't like, I get into it and I don't like it? I said, nobody in their life ever gets a straight line from where they think they were supposed to be in high school and where they are when they're 40. That doesn't exist. It's always a roller coaster. You make changes, you make decisions, you make tweaks. So, but you got to make a plan to start off. And that's the biggest thing I'd say is to push them to make a plan to get started, and then to figure out what that plan looks like in the future and what you got to do and how all of these, the thing I love about it is CCR is adulting. That's what my kids call it. It's adulting. They don't call it CCR. And it's because it's, how does your financial literacy fit into it? How does your digital footprint fit into it? It all fits into the plan. And that's what you got to try to get them to understand. You're not 15 components. You're one person that have 15 parts, and you got it all has to merge together.
Well, perfect. I think that rounds us out perfectly, Mr. Huey. I appreciate the three of y'all. I know y'all got, as we've heard, a million things.
One more thing.
One more thing, Ms. Tilden.
More thing. If you aspire to teach CCR, you must teach this to your students. Seniors, as a senior in high school, get to college is our what? Our what? I can't hear you, please. Your who? No, that's your folder. Get to college is your what? Say it louder so these people. Okay, best friend.
Best friend.
Get to college is the senior's best friend. Please utilize them. Please utilize the resources that they work so hard to get for you and gather. They work wonders. They really do. And they will say in our Bible, because the CCR workbook in the folder is the Bible. You don't go to church without your Bible. You don't come to class without your Bible. Okay.
Well, yes, again, college, perfect.
Make them sign up for the text alerts. That's a great.
Yeah.
Perfect transition. Once again, Ms. Tilden, this is why you guys are teachers. You know all the things and all the transitions. So really quickly at the end of our time here today, again, this is a brand new school year, and today was the first of our 23-24 Topic Tuesday series. stay tuned for our next Topic Tuesday webinar. Teresa had already been asking, when are we going to get updates on the FAFSA, and when are we going to get updates on the Mississippi Aid application? On Tuesday, September 5th, you will get kind of a sneak peek. Kirsten's laughing. There's a lot of things that are happening with the new FAFSA, but we're going to give you a sneak peek on some changes happening with the FAFSA and MAP updates. And then you can see we have a robust schedule happening throughout the fall and spring, and we'll be meeting once a month, typically on that first Tuesday of the month. So if you participate in 5 webinars, you'll have the opportunity, just like in the past, to apply for 0.5 CEUs. And if you participate in all 10 webinars over the fall and spring, you'll have the opportunity to apply for 1 full CEUs. These webinars are listed under the Educator tab, and then select Topic Tuesday, and then select the Events section. So you'll see a lot of things there for you educators. So while you're there registering for the remaining Topic Tuesdays, we want you to look at all of the other training opportunities that we have coming up. They have all been recently, these are hot off the press, guys. So hot off the press that we didn't have I just got the date for the one you're seeing now on North Mississippi. We're actually going to be doing that September 19th. So if you're up in North Mississippi, these are MDE Get to College Joint Regional Counselor Training. So these actually will be for counselors, and there will be 3 dates in September. Again, we'll be working with MDE to give you those updates that you're used to getting at the beginning of the school year. And we'll have 3 different locations. Those are all on our website for you to sign up for, and they're happening soon in September. College Access Educator Training. We're going to do a virtual one in August. We are also going to have 3 different in-person College Access Educator trainings, one in Jackson, South Haven, and Ocean Springs. So you can see those dates there. Again, you can sign up for those on our website. And lastly, what I know you all have been waiting for, you just got to wait a little bit longer, our FAFSA update. And the reason you're going to have to wait a little bit longer is we want to make sure that we have all the most updated information when we begin to train folks on the new FAFSA. So we're going to go about it in a couple of different ways. Starting at the end of October, we're going to have some virtuals in October and November, and one in the spring and January. But then we are also going to be riding across the state to visit everybody in 5 different regions. We kind of cut the state across in 5 different regions. We'll be coming to Oxford, Goodman, Jackson, Hattiesburg, and Long Beach at the end of November, 1st of December. So put us on your Christmas shopping list to attend a FAFSA training. And at that time, we will be sharing the latest updates and anticipation with the FAFSA opening, as the language is still saying sometime in December. Okay, so get on our website right now, get signed up for all of those that you're able to attend. And again, you can find us on a lot of our different social media places, Facebook, YouTube, and then Instagram. So we hope that we will see you all back here in September for updates on the FAFSA and the MAP application. And we look forward to this year of Topic Tuesdays with y'all. Thanks again, presenters. We'll let you get back to your classroom, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much for having